सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोकेर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So this morning we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2 of the 11th canto, text number 27. The chapter is entitled Maharaj Nimi meets the Navayogendras, the 9 Yogendras. The shloka is as follows. Tan rochamanan swarucha brahmaputropama'n nava prapacha param pritah prashyanvato prashyavanato nrupaha. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Overwhelmed by transcendental joy, the king humbly bowed his head and then proceeded to question the 9 sages. These 9 great souls glowed with their own effulgence and thus appeared equal to the 4 Kumaras, the sons of Lord Brahma. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami has pointed out that the word Swarucha indicates that Navayogendras glowed from their own spiritual effulgence and not due to their ornaments or any other cause. The Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, is the original source of all light. His brilliantly glowing body is the source of all pervading Brahma Jyoti, the immeasurable spiritual light that is the resting place of the immeasurable universes. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti. The individual soul, being part and parcel of the Lord, is also self-effulgent. In fact, everything in the kingdom of God is self-effulgent as described in the Bhagavad Gita 15.6. Na tad bhasayate suryo, na shashanko na pavakaha, yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramamama. It has already been described in many ways that the Navayogendras were pure devotees of the Lord. Being completely Krishna-conscious souls, they naturally radiated the intense effulgence of the soul as indicated here by the word Swarucha. Srila Sridhar Swami has also pointed out that the word Brahma Putropaman, meaning equal to the sons of Brahma, indicates that the Navayogendras were on the same spiritual platform as the 4 exalted Kumara brothers. It has been described in the 4th canto that Maharaj Prithu received the 4 Kumaras with great love and reverence. And here King Nimi is similarly receiving the 9 sons of Lord Rishabdev. Receiving exalted Vaishnavas with love and reverence is the standard spiritual etiquette for those who desire progress and happiness in life. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All the assembled Vaishnavas in the temple room, all the senior devotees, my humble obeisances to all of you, and all of you who are also online. So, one of the very, very spiritually enlivening cantos is the 11th canto, because it speaks a lot of philosophic essence uh, throughout its chapters. It's also, we are also coming to the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is one after other very rich discussions happening, discussions pertaining to those who have no other desire left in life but to make the human form of life most perfect by just seeking the absolute truth. So there is a stage in everyone's life where we all go through some kind of either pain or curiosity or some kind of disillusionment in life, and then we seek shelter of Krishna consciousness in some manner. So the first stage is the reference to Krishna consciousness is built up because of our own disappointments, of our own lack of the inability to extract meaning and purpose in our activities. And then later on, when a person completely, thoroughly is convinced that there is nothing else which is meaningful in this world left, then comes the actual curiosity, where there are no more questions asked about the nature of one's suffering and why we suffer, what is karma, and why I'm going through so many of these things and so on. You no longer have these kind of questions. Then the questions go to a completely spiritual state where the only desire of the living entity is to know the absolute truth and nothing less than that. So it's not an iota less than that. We see these kind of discussions coming throughout in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially in the 11th canto. Everyone becomes so intense when describing these things. So here comes a discussion between the Nava Yogendras, the 9 Yogendras, who are the sons of King Rishabdev. Now, Rishabdev was the plenary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So essentially, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he himself had trained his sons, the 9 Yogendras, in the science of spirituality. So in the earlier verses, you have already seen that of these 100 sons which King Rishabdev had, every one of them was very religious, pious, having a lot of Brahminical qualities and so on. But these 9 were beyond all of that. Of course, they had Brahminical qualities and so on, but they were also very, very spiritual. And so King Nimi, when he saw that they are in town, he received them with great honor. That's what the verse is all about. So even the receiving of this 9 sons of Rishabdev was not just an etiquette which was being followed by King Nimi. So this is an important thing to be understood. Externally, honoring someone who is highly spiritual and trying to get their association by engaging in some spiritual talk, These are all external etiquettes the which are must to be done, which are the at the least we could do these things. But the true sense of honor of a great devotee is developing genuine eagerness in our own heart to know the absolute truth. The only wealth which the great devotees or Mahatmas have is uh, access to the spiritual truths, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without that, the Mahatmas or the great souls, they have not accomplished anything else worthy, which they think at least worthy. So most of the Mahatmas which we read, they are already detached from many things. They may be born in very, very rich families, but they do not have those hankerings at all. So their hearts do not have anything mundane or material to share. Just like when we meet a person who loves singing and you talk about any other topic other than singing, that person does not have anything much to share. If there's a person who is a hardcore businessman who knows all about where to invest next and what's the profiting venture, you talk about, let's say you talk about music or arts or decorations, he won't be able to respond because his mind and heart is filled with some of the his ambitions and desires. Similarly, a pure devotee's mind and heart is filled with the absolute truth, and therefore honoring a pure devotee, befriending him or serving such people is developing the eagerness ourselves. King Rishabdev had taught Navayogendras a very, very important principle. Although he was the king that time himself, he taught his sons um, about the futility of this material world itself. So in the fifth canto, this discussion comes about the beautiful verse, Nayam deho deha bhajam nrinaloke kashtan kaman arhate vid vibhujam ye tapo divyam putraka ye na sattvam. Shuddhed yasmat brahma saukhyam tvanantam. He tells his sons, he trains himself, trains the Navayogendras, that you all have got an extremely rare opportunity having this human form of life. And in this human form of life, one should not simply kashtan, kaman, arhate, that word comes. The human form of life is not simply meant for useless labor and the labor in pursuit of sense gratification. So that is a fundamental misunderstanding of what life is all about. The first stage of spiritual progress or journey is basically just correcting our fundamental misunderstandings. Human form of life is absolutely not meant for sense gratification. Although sense gratification is available, and although although we have got this body due to karma to fulfill our desires, that is not the main purpose. So, so this fundamental misunderstanding has been eradicated by Rishabdev himself in the minds of his sons. So the first verses itself come this point. Tapo divyam putraka yena sampa. Make this life divine by doing what? By doing some austerities and penances. Strive for the truth because you won't get this opportunity in any other form of life. So then the Navayogendras, they engage very intensely. Their father himself guides them that you may not associate with anyone who has no interest in spirituality. And specifically, he says, Yad Indriya Pritaya Aprunoti, those who are simply dedicated to enjoy their senses, stay away from such people. Stay away from people who simply are attached to sensual pleasures. So it's interesting. Rishabdev, he does not tell to his sons directly about the sense objects, but he says stay away from people attached to sense objects, because it is a very important principle. Sometimes the object itself does not give you so much attraction as much as someone who is already romantically attached to the particular object. So that taste of association impacts the soul. And therefore, in the very first lessons to Navayogendras, this is taught, that associate with the great personalities. That verse is Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam Mahanantaste Samachitta Prashanta. Why you should associate with these great personalities? Because they have these qualities. First is they are Samachittaha, they are equipoised. Means great personalities, they don't just freak out in excitement when they see something positive or something favorable, and they don't get depressed or disturbed when they see or perceive something which is unfavorable. So that is what is called samachitta. This is exactly what King Nimi sees in the Nava Yogendras, that they are equipoised. It's a very great definition. Then prashanta. Prashanta means they are peaceful. Today, many people do say this, oh, I need peace, I need silence. It's not true. They don't want peace, because if you wanted peace, you would not just be in a silent room all by yourself with your phones or your laptops and so on. Prashanta means one's heart is totally pacified. The hunger for material things is not there. It's not that I want silence and peace and privacy so that I can silently and peacefully, intensely engage in my sensual pursuits. No, that's not a peaceful person. So today people, even though they are private, they are not peaceful at all. So peace is something else. Peace is something which is achieved by those whose hearts, the material desires in whose hearts have been vanquished. That's where the peace comes. So nivritta tarshair upagiya manat bhavaushadhat shrotra mano abhiramat. So those whose trishna, those whose hearts are free, nivritta means retired. The literal meaning of the word nivritta is retirement. When the heart is retired from what? Tarshair, from the um, the thirst for material things. That is the prerequisite for someone who has to cultivate spiritual truths. This is according to Prahlad Maharaj. It comes in the actually 10th canto, in the beginning itself, not Prahlad Maharaj. I think Parikshit Maharaj is speaking with Shukdev Goswami. So that way. So we see here Maharaj Nimi has already gone through the stages of his life where he has pursued sense gratification to some extent, and also he has lived a very religious and pious life. Now he has come to a stage where he's seeing the limitations or fallacies of even just an auspicious and pious life. And that's why he's getting very, very eager. So this is very interesting to see. He's not receiving the sadhus just because, just to honor some social etiquette. His reception is filled with the hunger of his eagerness, because he has vanquished all the desires in his hearts. So we see here, even in earlier discussions, when in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Parikshit Maharaj met Shukdev Goswami, although he goes there as a disciple, but he's so eager to receive the spiritual knowledge from him. Why? Because now he's understood that I have no other purpose to live in this life. And therefore he takes shelter of the transcendental messages. So eagerness of a spiritual practitioner is something which needs to be cultivated very nicely. Rupa Goswami explains that laulyam api mulyam, that uh, intense greed to know the spiritual truths is the quality which is needed for the growth of a spiritual practitioner. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukritir na labhyate. So it is saying, if you can get even a little bit of Krishna consciousness from someone, from somewhere, pay whatever price you can pay, just go for it. Why? Because these kind of opportunities will not be always available. You may get a human form of life hundreds of times, thousands of times. That is certainly possible. But you won't get in every life an opportunity to seek or understand the spiritual truths. It is very likely that if you have a human form, you are likely to be associated with some kind of religiosity in your life, whether the Sanatan Dharma, the Vedic truths, or any other religion, or some kind of thing, you'll always be associated. That's also possible. But the pure spirituality does not happen that way. So, how does that happen? So, in three instances, it is described in the Bhagavatam. In this particular instance, it is shown that Maharaj Nimi understands that this personalities whom I am seeing, the Nava Yogendras, they are Swarochaha, they are self-effulgent. And as the purport describes, it was not self-effulgent due to skin creams or lotion or face packs, but something, when a person is peaceful from within and intense in one's spiritual practice, there is a kind of glow and shine on their face, irrespective of the color of their skin. And that you can also see sometimes. A person could be black, but you'll feel that he's effulgent. A person could be brown, but you feel he's effulgent and radiant. We hear about one police officer. I don't exactly remember the place where it happened, but one of the police officers, when he saw devotees coming to receive Srila Prabhupada, he followed them and then he said, who is this person, this Swami of yours? He's glowing. So imagine a 70, 72-year-old person whose skin is already falling off the muscles, and he's Prabhupada, the amount of travel he used to do, he was constantly in a state of fatigue, not having good sleep. And then a neutral person, not a devotee whose heart is filled with love for the supreme truth, he sees an effulgence on his face. So, so anyone whose spiritual practices are consistent and they deepen enough, they have a natural glow on their face. So that is what is being referred here. Swarochaha means your original inner self gets enlightened, and then the external skin also shows up. So Nimi, he wants to honor these sages eh, because they are very, very advanced in spirituality, and that spiritual hunger is also there in his own life. Now, Maharaj Nimi now he has reached to his point in his life where he's having a serious conflict. Up to this point, he has been a king who is very well engaged with the world and doing his duties nicely. And he's quite communal in his activities, moving ahead in the kingdom and doing all such things. But now a certain kind of spiritual quest has begun, which is prompting him to know the deeper sense of truths. So he's kind of become a bit lonely and alone. This happens with every devotee. As you progress in your spiritual life, in the initial stages, every one of us needs um, some kind of support and guidance. Actually, we need support and guidance throughout our journey, but I'm speaking of the external support. So we need association programs and events and festivals and so on. That's a must in spirituality. But the initial stage, that is the only need. Eventually, as you progress, then sooner or later you will find yourself in a bit odd position. Why? Because your understanding of the truth has changed. You only seek and aspire for the absolute truth. When the reaches to that stage, you cannot just engage in social or communal things as you are doing. In fact, even those devotees who who newly start coming to the spiritual process, they also experience that they have been so good with their friends, so easy with their families, and so on, with all their different kinds of parties and celebrations. But at some point of time, they find themselves in a very, very awkward situation that you have to exist in that external world doing whatever you have to do. And you have a sense of vocabulary, a kind of mind and intelligence which is needed to exist in that world. And then, but your inner core, your deeper self is calling for a different set of a mind, a different set of sensual engagement, different set of intellectual engagement, different set of communal engagement. And then you have to live in both the worlds. And living in the both the worlds is not easy. And you have to live both the worlds nicely. That's even a bigger problem. And when such a stage comes, at that time a person's eagerness and intensity increases. All the questions which come at such person's heart is how to just have the courage to just give up all the external engagement. Those kind of questions start coming because one no longer is happy and peaceful in that external world. So this is what is happening to Maharaj Nimi, and that's where he invites this Navayogendras, finding himself to be so fortunate to get this association. Exactly just like Parikshit Maharaj found himself so fortunate that he got the association of Shukdev Goswami, although through the curse. The curse was the means to get the association. And when Parikshit Maharaj meets, what does he tell to Shukdev Goswami? He's saying, uh, Piban, Pibantam Tvam Mukhambhojam Harikathamritam. He said, Achyutam Harikathamritam, that I am so satisfied with my life now at this stage. The basic pangs of hunger and thirst, it's not just about physical hunger and thirst, but any other thirst which exists in the mind. All of these have vanquished because I'm hearing the nectar from your lotus mouth. So that level of eagerness which Parikshit Maharaj had, a similar kind of eagerness is what Nimi is experiencing. He's feeling blessed and thrilled that now he's going to get uh, the true sense of the association. In the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 2, Divinity and Devotional Service, all these characteristics are given. The power of a sadhu, the power of association, the spirit of a devotee, all those basic fundamental characteristics which are necessary for spiritual growth are spoken there. So one of the verse very, very beautiful is the verse Tat Shraddhadhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya. Someone who is very inquisitive in spiritual life must have these qualities. First, he has to have Shraddha, that he has some kind of faith and discipline in his life, and which is equipped with Gyan and Vairagya. If one says, I have a lot of faith in Krishna, I have faith in sadhus, I love to hear, but then one is not having a vairagya, a sense of detachment, some practice which is cultivating detachment, then the lip service of saying that I want to serve the Mahatmas, I want to hear from them, those things don't really work. As I said in the beginning, I'm again repeating, the main point of this verse is all about that this serving the great devotees is not and just simply an external etiquette. It truly comes when one's heart is filled with that hunger. So, Shraddha Dhana, jnana vairagya. The faith of such a person is accompanied with knowledge and also detachment. And in that spirit, when a person then uh, hears or Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, it is at that time everything starts fructifying. So, very interesting discussion, which is going to come further in the Bhagavatam as we move ahead. I'd like to stop here and we can take some questions or comments. We have 10 minutes left. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Wonderful class. Adipusha Prabhu, followed by Min and Jack.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
How are you? Nice to see
Good, good. Hare Krishna.
wonderful, wonderful class. You're making this point that they, he was hungry, and he turned to the sadhus, and he was inspired and sustained and directed by hearing from them. And when Srila Prabhupada gives class, sometimes he gives the Purva Paksha. You know Purva Paksha?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, because we are all influenced by who we're hearing from, who we associate with, who we allow to speak into our life. I was remembering my childhood. I was one time at my grandmother's house, and there was and my Aunt Lily and my Aunt Tony, my Uncle Pete, my cousin Joseph, my grandmother and my mother were all there. And my mother was saying, my son, he doesn't see things properly. We have to teach him. And they said, well, what's an example? And she said, well, on the television there was a bullfight. You know what is a bullfight? With the matador
Mm-hmm.
and this ferocious beast, the bull. And everyone is cheering for the bravery of the matador and that he will prevail. But my son is concerned about the bull. His attention is misdirected. He thinks things, he always sees things backwards. So we are devotees, so we tend to see things in a different way than other people. So my auntie Lily, she was saying, well, we have to teach him the right way to see things. So the other people are trying to influence us. They see things differently and they want to. And my cousin Joseph, who's like practically demoniac, he said, well, I agree with him. I'm cheering for the bull to kill the matador. That's what I want to see. And one side is saying, show enthusiasm for the bull, and one side is saying shoot. But both sides are ridiculous. We know that the spiritual perspective is that what's the use of a bullfight? Completely nonsense, and is pointless and even degrading and frivolous and a waste of the human life. So we have to seek out, as recommended, association of the devotees, the pure devotees, and hear from them and help let them influence us. We also have to be very careful not to be swayed. Just like if you jump into a river, you get pulled along at the direction of the river and the speed of the river's water. So we have to be careful not to be pulled into the association of family. And it's tricky, and the people around us in the material world who are misdirected. Bhagavatam is meant to bring about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. So there's a certain words of advice and words of caution. Get the good association and avoid the influence of those who are bewildered. Anyway, glory to Srila Prabhupada. We prayed to Prabhupada what to say. That's what he gave me today. We don't always get it right. I know sometimes I say things and I may not be. I'm hoping to say what Srila Prabhupada wants. Well, glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Min.
Yeah, Min.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for a great class. I was thinking when you were talking about how important it is to be in human body to become God conscious. This is something that we hear so often, the verse by Prabhupada actually in his purports. And I think that, well, I don't necessarily keep that information in the forefront of my mind all the time, the value of this life, human form. And I think that is clearly linked with progress or slow progress of my faith. I was wondering if you could sort of tell us maybe the simplest way to keep that within us on daily basis. A prayer or verse or any wisdom you might have. Thank you.
So I'll tell you what I have been following most part of my life in my spiritual journey regarding this. Um, at least in my own self, I haven't found so much solace in uh, simply uttering some prayers which are spoken of by someone else. It's part of their realization. Of course, you can learn something out of it. All of that is there. But this particular point that to get a sense of um, what life is all about, uh, to as I was saying, that we have a fundamental misunderstanding of what human form of life is. So uh, whenever I seek something beyond myself, uh, when the appreciation goes beyond the human self, uh, I try to put this particular uh, thought in my mind that actually I am searching for Krishna ultimately in some form. So, for example, like a typical dog or a cat, any pet you have, it's not going to value the aesthetics which you have in your house, the colors and the curtains and the sofa and so much. You make it fancy or you don't make it fancy, it's not going to change the experience of his doghood or cathood or something like that. But for a human being, everything adds to change in experience. So if you contemplate on that aspect, that a human form being, once we have this form, we are constantly seeking greater and greater aesthetic experiences. Aesthetics not simply from the external things, but also from the inner point of view. You know, um, those we all have deeper questions, whether or not we are satisfied or dissatisfied in this world. The mind and the intelligence tries to seek always something. So if you simply focus on that ability, that you have the nature to seek, to inquire, that itself is an ability given for some higher purpose. And that has been particularly extremely uh, beneficial to me per se. So otherwise, there are anyway so many shlokas you can remember. I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. The soul is full of eternity, bliss, and so on. Those things are there. But I would suggest, at least I'm just sharing what I think. Whenever I am seeking something, even if it is mundane, my mind goes, see, you are seeking. That means you want something which is more truthful, more deeper. That's the main uh, emotion you want to nourish. And this is not the object. Everything else which you get attracted through the senses is only filled with empty promises. So this thought is, it has been my constant practice. I have not always been successful, but I love this struggle.
Wow, thank you so much. That was just really beautiful. I love that. Yes. I think this is, yeah, something that I wasn't necessarily looking for a concrete verse or prayer, like you said. It's hard to sort of just read those and embody that teaching. But what you just shared is helpful in a way that there's some I feel like I could sort of take that and maybe carry that with me somehow. And so, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada tells us that we become like who we associate with. If we put the iron in the fire, it becomes hot, red hot, and you touch it to paper, and the paper bursts into flames. So if we desire and seek out association of those who are deeply absorbed and inspired and dedicated in spiritual life, we will be affected, we will be uplifted, just like the Yogendras.
I also personally, if there's something which really overwhelms me and steals my mind in any of the senses, so I pray to Krishna that, you are so attractive, but this particular object form or a concept or something that is currently stealing my attention. So make sure that you make yourself a bit more attractive so that I am distracted. Otherwise, it is you who are to blame, not me. So I do this kind of prayer sometimes and it works. So you feel helpless, go to Krishna and cry to him. Please, please, please make yourself more attractive. Otherwise, I am just trapped to perceive things through my mind and senses. Maybe it sounds a bit sentimental and illogical, but it's a prayer which works for me.
I'm just reflecting on this point that there's a number of Leela pastimes where Krishna takes disguises, and he disguises himself, especially to approach Radharani. A lot of the time, he's dressing up as a female, and sometimes other forms, but yeah, he dresses as another gopi too, because Radharani's a lot of time mad, and he's trying to bring her man down. But so I'm just reflecting on this point, and is that Krishna sends things in our life, and he's coming in disguise a lot of the time, and we're not understanding why that thing is happening. Why is this happening? This is so challenging. I feel so stuck. And if we say, Krishna, you're coming in disguise right now. What am I supposed to learn? How am I supposed to transform from this situation? We can get, we come from the place of being a victim, or this is so hard, to, oh, this is your love, Krishna, this is your love, you're coming, you're arranging, you're always thinking how to bring me closer, you're so loving, and you're coming in disguise. So please show me what I'm supposed to learn here. Please show
Sweet,
me how
sweet,
I'm supposed to understand this. Yeah, Krishna's coming in
sweet.
disguise all the time. He's doing it in his leelas, and he's doing it with us.
So sweet. So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I have to go. I don't know what you're going to do, but I have to go. Can you ask that girl to put the temple equipment on so people can see? This is the temple. Can you put that on? Turn it on? Oh, okay. Can you please take the guitar? Sure. I got too many things. Great. Be careful. Don't bang it on anything.
Thank you very much, Jagannath Priya Prabhu. If you're still here, thank you. Yes, JP is here. Jagannath Priya Das. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the good association is the key. Thank you. Would anyone like to speak during the afternoon? Harishan Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Jagannath Prabhu. Thank you so much. Beautiful, very beautiful class.
Hare
Actually, one
Krishna.
point was striking was you mentioned that sense objects are less powerful than actually the people who are associating with those sense objects. So actually, I also feel like that when walking in New York City. So like there are so many people we see engaging with that. So I'm not sure. Like sometimes that impressions get stuck. Sometime it's like as you said, like it's the only thing is like we need to pray the Lord like to give the mercy to make him more attractive than the people who are engaging in those sense objects. Uh, Thank you so much. Like because I'm not seeing any way to escape that. So you have any other tips or anything that you can share? Thank you.
So the acharyas recommend something of the exact same principle, but in a different way. Um, so someone who romanticizes the sensual pleasures, he brings attraction to the sensual pleasures itself because of the romanticizing. Similarly, when you meet people who are relishing the truth, you start appreciating the truth. It's the same thing. So there is a truth which is in the Vedas, in the Gita, in the Upanishads. It's lying there all, it's just there. You can also probably just read and, but then when we see someone who is just so eager, oh, there's this festival, this program, this class, something, just seeing someone who is relishing that, it creates a desire. So Mahat Sangha is about that. It's not about simply association with someone maybe just in saffron or in temple or some, but any devotee who has some attraction towards Krishna, and he could be in any stage, any form, any kind of a body and so on. But meeting such people even for 10-15 minutes, it just enriches your life. You feel as if months and months of burden has just vanished from your heart, as if suddenly you now understand scriptures. So it's not that you have read much, you just got associated with someone who is relishing that. So what our scriptures say that uh, that lava matra sadhu sangha is like. So the only challenge is to find such people who really relish the truths. If you get some opportunity like that, that's it. So it's just the same principle. In itself, when you see a liquor store, you don't get attracted to the liquor that way. You know, there is so much philosophy written on the bottle, distilled from the 17th, 16th century family brewery from the remote regions of the Alps, and so much of philosophy is put, and then you have a person who speaks it and says it just brings so much excitement. So that's about it.
Thank you, Jagannath.
If the heart is not filled with deeper quests, then the sensual quests will take over.
So when we see somebody who is enjoying materially, who is situated comfortably, and who is projecting that, so we don't come to them and say, "You're gonna die. This is all temporary."
No, we don't say that.
Our process is to actually hang out with somebody who has taste for the holy name, taste for the truth. Thank you for pointing that out. We have Jimunajaya, Min, and Krishna Kumari raising their hands. Wow.
Well, I just wanted to comment real quickly about this concept that you were just, thank you for class, first of all, really wonderful class. What you were saying about the person and the actual thing that the sense object, and it's what advertising hangs their hat on. That's why they hire these attractive people and these famous people to hawk a product, because that's what on a mundane level people go like, oh well, my favorite athlete likes this thing, so I have to like it. So we see that that experience really powerful in the mundane world. That's why they hire those people to do it. And then the other thing I was thinking of, we know, in Nectar Devotion and in our text, we see like the progression of people in the path. First it's Shraddha, but then it's Sadhu Sangha. We get the faith, and then we look at the people who look to have those practices, and it's like I want to be like you, I want to follow in your path. So we see that in this progression, and it does make sense. I remember at a certain point I looked around and all my friends were Hare Krishnas, and all of a sudden I wanted to be like, I had a faith, but then I wanted to be like them, even before my faith and what they were practicing came to full fruition in my heart. So just wanted to say that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, someone else I think is going to talk.
Talk if you want to.
Okay, hello?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to say, when I heard about the first time I heard you should, hang out with devotees or something, it repulsed me because it sounded like you're being elitist. Like, that, well, just be with these people. Those other people are bad and this. But I started to understand this. But another thought came to my mind too. I remember as like a kid when your mother would say to you, "Don't hang out with this on this one. It's a bad influence." And when I think back, she was right. If you hung out with friends who smoked, chances are you would smoke. If you hung out with friends who drank or did drugs, you would do it. So mom was right, and apparently what we Christians are saying, I come to realize I was right too.
What
Hare Krishna.
do you say about Adi? Angel, what do you think?
What?
What would your mom think about Adi?
I think you would respect him on some level. I mean, might think a little strange, but I respect him on some level there.
Adi Purusha, we love and respect you on some level. Okay, we have Min, followed by Krishna Kumari, followed by Mathura Nath Prabhu.
Thank you very much. I was just thinking about the response you gave me to my question before, and I think there's something there that's really, really important for me to look into. And you spoke about this concept, our habit of seeking aesthetic, and but not just in our exterior, but in the interior. I think that being an artist, a visual artist, that's I'm so used to in a habit of seeing the world in such a way. I think oftentimes I'm seeking for some kind of beauty, and I grew up in a household where my parents were very keen on creating environment that was quite beautiful. So I like this, trying to remember, look into that. Seeking beauty is something that is so innately human. I was wondering if you could speak about that, the aesthetic of our interiority, because you have spoken that we not don't stop in the exterior, but bring it in or find that within us. So I was wondering if you could speak about that a little bit. Thank you.
Um, so spiritual spirituality has two aspects. One is the external, which is uh, about purification of our mind and our consciousness and our senses, which is the whole process of anartha nivritti and engaging our propensities and so on. That does not satisfy in itself if it is not accompanied by some kind of rasa, or uh, some kind of pleasure which comes out of all that activity. So rasa is nothing but the aesthetics of consciousness, you can put it that way. And the whole point of spiritual life is to come to relish those aesthetics. Now, because you're a visual artist, you would probably appreciate this aspect, that the whole point of developing all those external aesthetic is not just to please the eyes or the ears with the right kind of music, but it's actually to bring a sense of an overall experience through all of those things. So when a person, let's say I go for a candlelight dinner, it's not just the light of the candle, but it's the overall experience, the music, the lights, the way the food is served, the choice of the food, the volume of the talk we do, everything. After doing the or having the perfect candlelight dinner, what is the end result of all of that? That is what is called as experience, or in spiritual terms, that is what is called as rasa. Rasa. So rasa is nothing but the aesthetics of consciousness or aesthetics of the soul itself. So if we, in every mundane activity that we do, if you are truly a relisher or a seeker, you would you would try to see the purpose behind it and relish even the little nuances which you can extract out of it, and you'll find that it is going to add aesthetics to your experiences. So there's a very simple verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Yat karoshi yadashnashi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. He says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you do it, uh, keeping me in center. So although it externally appears to be a verse where it appears that we are just trying to externally force or right, superimpose Krishna on our mind or our activities, it's not that. It's like flowing through the journey and seeing Krishna through that. So I like Mathura Nath Prabhu's comment that, oh, it is Krishna all along. He's doing some mischief of uh, covering himself, disguising himself through objects and concepts and so on. So it's a very good, it's a very beautiful thought. And through that, it helps to build one consciousness.
Thank you so much.
So if you also want to look into this more in a deeper sense, you can read the chapter 10th and 11th of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, I am the taste of water. Uh, sorry, 7th and 10th chapter. He says, I am the among the humans, I am the monarch, among the fishes, I am the shark, and so on. So yeah, it is not just to externally see the presence of Krishna, but it's to feel him in some manner. So that's that. You may also want to read the first chapter of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which speaks about the concept of rasa. I'm not touching the concept of rasa much more in deeper because we don't have time and it will require some premise to discuss.
Thank you so much. What you said in the beginning of just, I mean, making art of any form, your
Mhm.
good art would become that, or is a good art if you haven't really just copied or illustrated the exterior beauty that we see in the world. That if once we enter into that beauty and find something more there, that's, you know, we appreciate that. So thank you. You made such a great link for me to think about this, and thank you for the references.
Thank you.
I have something to add to this point. I know Krishna Kumari, you're ahead of me, but if you don't mind, I just because we're in a flow here, is that okay, Krishna Kumari? And then you can go. Okay, she did a heart. So yeah, reflection on this is that we are also forms of art. Krishna is molding us. And something that really hits deep for me more than I'm not the body, I'm the soul, is I'm Krishna's part. I'm part of him. And Krishna's made of love, and I'm this little part of love. So a lot of time I see devotees struggle with, like, what does this mean to love yourself? What does this mean to actually give self-love, self-care? But we are actually part of Krishna, and if we can't love this part before we actually and see how Krishna's molding me, how Krishna's, sculpting me in this magnificent way, and really come to a place of, yes, I am supposed to give this part of Krishna love. And then we can, once we do that, then we are connected with this part of Krishna, and we can start having a loving exchange. Because if we're disconnected with this part, what is there to have a loving exchange with Krishna? But that's what we're designed, that's what we're meant for. But so many of us are disconnected from ourselves, not even understanding I am this beautiful part of Krishna. And so starting to actually give ourselves love, compassion, even a sense of safety. I can give safety by having the intelligence, using the intelligence Krishna's giving me to have boundaries, to say no when things are not safe. So a lot of time as devotees, I did this. I did this where just, yeah, I don't have to worry about myself. I just do, whatever and tolerate whatever. And, so I can be the most tolerant and humble devotee, and we get walked all over because we're not actually honoring this part of Krishna. And that can happen in so many different ways. Anyways, just Hare Krishna.
Beautiful, Prabhu.
I was actually thinking about Bhagavad Gita. I'll just speak to what you said, Matura, but I did have something else as well. Actually, Krishna says he's already killed everyone on the battlefield. Arjuna doesn't have to do it. Really, what Arjuna is doing is he's stopping this toxic relationships with persons that aren't doing the right thing, aren't
Um, Krishna
We're
Kumari, we are not able to hear you properly.
okay. Did you hear the first part I said?
No, nothing at all. You need to repeat everything.
Okay. So I was studying Bhagavad Gita for our community class, and I realized that you can hear me now.
Yeah, yeah.
That Krishna's he's already killed everyone on the battlefield. He's telling Arjuna this. So it's Arjuna doesn't need to kill the Kauravas because any other reason other than for self-love and to know himself and this connection and to stop toxic relationships. It's actually something very important, just speaking to your thing, Matura. And then I was thinking about the artist and Valmiki, how he downloads, it's like coming right from Krishna. So Min as an artist, everything's just in the flow. And if we're writing a poem or a song or music or painting comes, it's coming if we just allow it to move through Krishna. And then once we start thinking about it, then it's no longer. And then I actually have a question. I just wanted to add to those conversations, but my question is about the eyes. So I do have somebody in my life that's really afraid to close their eyes, and like at night, they're just it something about that unknown. So I was just really wondering about this King Nimi and I mean, Ravinda Prabhu used to always say that we don't even move our arms unless there's some demigod that's helping us to do all these things. So I was just wondering more about King Nimi and these living in our eyelids and what that might evoke for someone that is afraid to go to sleep or close their eyes of the unknown.
See, many aspects in the names which some of them have acquired in the past uh, is more significant to their own journey of their own enlightenment. So it's not necessary that it must have some contextual reference or learning to our own lives. Let's say Parikshit's name, someone who is extremely eager. So it does not exactly indicate that we need to have that kind of an eagerness, but it defines Parikshit more than us. So in that sense, I just see many of these names as the infinite varieties in which Krishna designs consciousness. Uh, and each one is trying to use their core ability to um, to seek fulfillment through that. So there are names like Nimi, then there's Daksha, there is Parikshit, all of them, which have a lot of significance that way. I haven't come across some very significant contextual learning as a principle.
I thought that he was actually living, like he doesn't have a body anymore, but he's living in the human's eyelids when they close. That's what I understood.
So there are some metaphorical explanations which come that way. But that's what I said. I haven't yet found something convincing enough to get it at the contextual understanding. So there are some abstract things which keep coming here and there. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
can I just add to this? One very important thing about Puranic studies means when you are studying the Puranas, which Srimad Bhagavatam is a Puran, there are a lot of metaphorical concepts which are used, metaphors. So there is a way of trying to understand what has to be taken literally, what has to be understood metaphorically, and so on. So that is also required. When someone takes the Puranas too much as a principle, then there can also be some misunderstanding of concepts. And that's why Prabhupada uses this word, what is that? Shruti, Smruti, Purana Adi, Pancharatrikam Vidhim Vina, Aikantiki, Harir Bhaktir Utpata Yeva Kalpate. It means that the true sense of spirituality develops when one understands the Shrutis, means Upanishadic flow of spiritual quest, and the Puranas, the stories which we hear. So taking just one of them will not create a proper balance. So there is a little bit of reading needs to be done just to get a sense of how those things operate. That way. I know I'm not giving you a very convincing answer. I may probably add more confusion, but I just thought speak. Yes, Adi, sorry.
So if you see in the Puranas something that is far out, so that's a principle. And if you see something that's more or less correlates with our realities, then that should be taken literally. Is that how we read?
Let's say when we take some figures, see, every poetry has a sense of expression, right? And to express certain concepts, the poetries use a lot of allegories. They'll use figures of speech, hyperboles, and so on. So let's say when you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains when Lord Chaitanya was born, people from everywhere, they came to see Lord Chaitanya, and the Ganga was filled with people and you could not see the water at all you could see was the heads. So now if you now literally visualize this, you could not see the water. It's not that you cannot see the water. People were swimming, means their hands and legs were moving nicely, but the poetries are spoken in such a manner just to show it was just crowd everywhere. So it's like all you could see was heads. So when you take those things very literally, then it becomes totally off. If you say 500 years before, millions and millions of people just came in the town of Navadvip, then you have to put that word million in slight a context. There's an expression and there is the literal thing. So Puranas is filled with expressions. So one has to just have a sense of what is a poetic expression and what is the literal thing. So the pain is the literal thing, that I was going through this struggle. Someone would say it was the weight of the mountain on my head, or we say, right, it was the weight of a mountain taken off my shoulders or heart. Now it's literally not there. You would crush just under the fist of one powerful person. You don't need actually a weight of a mountain, but we do say that, right? So wherever you see something which just goes little uh, too magnanimous, you can just take it more as an expression of the experience rather than the literal thing in that way.
I understand.
So when we say Parikshit, the name Parikshit means one who was throughout eager in his life. No, it's not just, it just not, it's not that. He lived a very nice family life. He raised children nicely. He fought many wars. He won over the battles. So you cannot win over battles and fight when you are just like a rishi or muni or a gopi suffering in separation for Krishna. So the name Parikshit has to be also taken in the meaning of Parikshit has to be taken in that context. That although he was doing all of these things, he had an inner quest which was unfulfilled, the seeking of Krishna. That's what it is.
Thank you, Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Okay, we can take one last contributor, Haricharan Prabhu. Haricharan?
Sorry, I think I added a little bit confusion yesterday, like in the class. So sorry for that. So, Krishna Kumari Mata. So, regarding the eyelids, right? So, I just want to add, like what Jagannath Priya Prabhu said. Yeah, it's about like at that age, people got that boon because the people in that kingdom wanted to see Nimi always because he lost his physical body. He was living as a spirit soul. So people in that kingdom wanted to see Nimi always. But Nimi doesn't wanted to have a physical body because he doesn't want to go through this birth, disease, old age, and death. So that's the reason to fulfill the people's desires in his kingdom and to make himself happy, he asked a boon from Devatas, saying that, okay, the people in my kingdom wanted to see me. So let me appear in their eyelids so that like when they blink their eyes, they can see me. It's only for that particular age at that time he got that boon for the people to see him. Hope I made you understood it. Thank you. Any other further questions?
Krishna Kumari, are you satisfied?
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's thanks though.
Thank you.
I was hoping that it was something more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was nothing like yeah, as Prabhu said, like there is nothing we need to take from that. It's only for that people that time they wanted to see Nimi
Mhm.
always because
I
because
get
they
what you're
loved so much.
saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I only have eyes for you, Nimi. I get it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking that it was for all the humans because
No, no,
Ravinder
no.
Swarup Prabhu does talk about how just like the universal form is there of Vishnu, then even in our form, there's demigods that help us move and do things. So I was just wondering if that was like some kind of connection to the eyelids, and
Yeah, yeah.
just wondering why I didn't hear more about King Nimi in my own, being. Okay, well, thank you so much.
No problem.
Krishna Kumari is the manifestation of a sense of wonder that is very, very consistent with bhakti. That's the mood. Okay, Devaki Priti, would you like to recite the Maha Mantra? The whole thing, enthusiastically?
Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare.
Hare.
Sweet. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Jagannath Priya Prabhu, for your time and expertise. Thanks everyone for your participation. Thank you, Devaki Preeti, for the recitation. See you again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.